The American people, they believe in freedom and charging toward the frontier. So it was a big win for Trump. It was a big win for Elon Musk. It was a big win for freedom of speech. I think that it was probably one of the more extraordinary things, maybe one of the more extraordinary things of the century. And it would be very difficult to forecast the future of the crypto industry, the digital assets industry, and Bitcoin before and now. We actually have a lot more clarity about what's coming next. And I think for Bitcoin to grow by a factor of 100x from here, we need...
Bitcoin faces no competition, it stands alone at the top. According to Michael Saylor, executive chairman of MicroStrategy, Bitcoin is on track to grow 100 times in value, a monumental rise that will surprise everyone. In a recent interview, he explained that governments, banks, and large corporations are increasingly embracing Bitcoin with greater understanding and support. This shift will drive Bitcoin adoption and its price to new heights. Saylor is confident that Bitcoin's value could increase 100-fold from its current level. He believes the key to this surge is gaining full support from the banking system, a process that is already underway. As more people begin to trust and use Bitcoin, its value will continue to climb. Stay tuned until the end of the video, where Michael Saylor explains why he believes Bitcoin is the best investment opportunity available today.
Stop. You don't have time. Don't miss out this 2025 bull run. Educate yourself first ahead of the crowd. We have created the ultimate step-by-step crypto cheat guide that will guide you this bull run. Unlock the secrets of crypto and make smarter investments today. Now by clicking on the link below to get your exclusive copy just under $10.
If you recall, the German government sold a lot of Bitcoin at $55,000 a Bitcoin. It turns out to be a more than $1 billion mistake in a couple of weeks. Big mistake. And people used to speculate, well, you know, is the government going to dump the Bitcoin? Are they not? And now what you see is Trump is pro-Bitcoin. And with the red sweep, that means the Republicans run the Senate, control the Senate, and they control the House, which means that pro-Bitcoin senators, like Senator Lummis, have now moved from being in the minority to being in the majority. In the minority, you watch the laws being written. In the majority, you write the laws, you pass the laws. Before November 5th, there was actually broad consensus in the House and the Senate to repeal SAB 121. And they did. And the president vetoed it. So what I would expect is that SAB 121 will be either withdrawn by the SEC or it will be repealed, and the president will support the repeal. That opens the way for banks to custody Bitcoin. That opens the way for the entire banking system to embrace Bitcoin. And I think for Bitcoin to grow by a factor of 100x from here, we need for the banking system of the world to support Bitcoin. So if I think about the consequences for Bitcoin, I think what this means is it's an acceleration of pro-Bitcoin regulations. I think that we'll see in-kind creation and redemption of Bitcoin ETFs. I think we'll see the repeal of SAB 121. I think we'll see support for Bitcoin within the banking system from the banking regulators, from Treasury, from OCC, from SEC. I think you'll see more supportive legislation from Congress. I think it will be approved by the White House. I think that this is a signal to accelerate institutional adoption. I think that the previous administration had been hostile to Bitcoin mining, hostile to Bitcoin banking, hostile to the Bitcoin ETFs, and the failure of Silicon Valley Bank followed by the shutdown, I mean, effectively the forcible liquidation of Silvergate and Signature, even though those were solvent banks. I mean, they were perfectly healthy banks that were actually forced into receivership by a hostile administration. I think that had caused the banking establishment, reasonably enough to be skittish and to be conservative and a little bit slow to adopt Bitcoin because they could see there was resistance in the administration. I think that now with a new administration, with President Trump coming to the Bitcoin conference in Nashville and saying, I will end the war on crypto. I will end the war on Bitcoin. I will support Bitcoin. We will not sell our Bitcoin. We're going to make Bitcoin in America. America is going to be the capital of Bitcoin, right? The fact that he said that, I think that sets the tone at the top. That means I think, number one, it seems inconceivable to me that a head of the Treasury or the CFTC or the SEC will be appointed that is anti-Bitcoin or anti-crypto, right? That seems quite obvious. We know that Trump is all in on crypto, all in on Bitcoin. So I think that we'll have favorable, supportive cabinet members. I think the second thing is we know we'll have a supportive Congress. Congress was already in favor of Bitcoin, before November 5th. We'll have a supportive Senate. The Republican senators were already in favor of Bitcoin. The Democratic senators have been sidelined and won't have any power in this regard. So Elizabeth Warren's agenda is going to become largely a thing of the past and irrelevant in the White House, in the Senate, and the Congress of the future. So I think that all of this suggests an acceleration of institutional adoption. It's a signal that it's okay for insurance companies to think about insuring Bitcoin companies. It's a signal that it's okay for banks to bank Bitcoin and crypto companies. It's a signal that it's okay for Wall Street to start to endorse, and advocate Bitcoin, right? It's a signal that the president and the administration is going to look at things like Operation Choke Point as hostile to the interest of the industry. I think if you combine that with the pro-business and the pro-American agenda of the red wave, it's pretty clear that this administration wants to grow business in America. It wants to deregulate. It wants to strip away handcuffs. It wants to lower taxes. It wants to accelerate progress and then the passage to the future in the United States. And all of that, I think, is just very auspicious for Bitcoin and the digital assets industry.
Bernstein Research has made a bold prediction that Bitcoin could reach $200,000 by the end of 2025. This optimistic outlook is driven by several key factors, including rising institutional interest and favorable regulatory changes. More institutional investors and corporations are turning to Bitcoin as a dependable store of value and a hedge against inflation, significantly increasing demand in the market. Additionally, the potential creation of a national Bitcoin reserve could further fuel this growth. Senator Cynthia Lummis has proposed that the U.S. acquire up to 5% of Bitcoin's total supply over the next 5 years, which could lead to investments exceeding $100 billion. This massive influx of demand could have a substantial impact on Bitcoin's price. Now, let's return to Michael Saylor for his powerful outlook on Bitcoin's future.
We initially started, our initial Bitcoin purchase was out of desperation. It's like, I just don't know what else to do anymore. This is my last idea, but I have nothing to lose and I'm irritated, right? And so we're going to do this. And then it became opportunistic. Our stock tripled and we could raise $650 million for 70 basis points, 75, effectively free money. I thought, okay, well, we'll buy Bitcoin with that. And then our stock rallied again and we raised $1 billion for free. And I thought, well, okay, this is very opportunistic. Someone wants to give you $1 billion for 0 coupon to invest in something you believe in, you would take it. And then at some point it became strategic. We're just going to keep doing this. And we can do it with occasionally different types of bonds and equity and the like. And then 2024 came along and the question was, what is MicroStrategy's role? And some people thought, well, it's better to invest in Bitcoin miners or it's better to invest in Bitcoin ETFs. And MicroStrategy is just a holding company. And between the beginning of 2024 and the end, what we realized is, well, the Bitcoin miners have a business which is decaying. The protocol is decreasing their productivity 18% a year in Bitcoin terms because of the halving. And then the hash rate's exploding, which is decreasing their productivity, another factor, 20 or 30% a year because of the hash rate increase. So if you're an institutional investor and you like Bitcoin exposure, that's a big question mark. Whereas MicroStrategy was like a Bitcoin miner, but our productivity is decreasing 0% a year. And our Bitcoin is increasing 50% a year. So what the investors wanted was they wanted Bitcoin exposure with volatility and no headwind. And so MicroStrategy represented the volatility, more liquidity, no headwind, right? And the result is a lot of money rotated out of Bitcoin miners into MicroStrategy as we approached the halving. And we got this boost. And then when we got this boost, our premium to net assets expanded. And then because our volatility was high, we were able to go to the convertible bond market and we sold a convertible bond. And then Bitcoin exploded and we sold another convertible bond a week later. We did 800 million, then we did another 600 million. And then a quarter later, we did another 800 million. And then a quarter later, we realized, well, we could sell $1 billion of equity at a 2 or 3 times a massive multiple to our underlying asset value. So we could sell $1 billion of equity and we could capture a $600 million gain in a few weeks. So we did that. And then we went back to the convertible bond market because the bond holders wanted another bond. So we sold that and we upside it. It was a $1 billion bond at 80 basis points. And once we got through all of that, what we realized was our real compelling business opportunity is as a Bitcoin treasury company. What we're offering is securities backed by Bitcoin. The bondholders want low risk Bitcoin. The equity holders want high performance Bitcoin. Some people want high voltage Bitcoin. Some people want low voltage Bitcoin. The ETFs are offering raw Bitcoin, raw wrapped Bitcoin. So you're getting 55 or 60 volatility and 60 ARR, and that's raw. And MicroStrategy stock was offering you double that, or 90 or even 100, sometimes 120 vol and 100 to 120 ARR. So you're getting high, levered, high voltage Bitcoin. And who wants that? Bitcoin maxis. The only thing that's better than Bitcoin is more Bitcoin. Double Bitcoin. If you like the return of Bitcoin, how do I get double the return of Bitcoin? I know Bitcoin's going to go up 50% a year. I want 100. Why don't you want 100% a year if you can get 50% a year? Well, the answer is if you get 100%, if you want double, you're the degenerate and you're doing 2x leverage on Binance or FTX, you might get forced liquidated on a Saturday night. So you want 2x, but you want it with intelligent leverage. Well, in essence, MicroStrategy is like a big crypto transformer, a Bitcoin transformer, high voltage Bitcoin, scary. High voltage Bitcoin comes in the front. And then on one side, we step it up to be extreme high voltage. That's how you outperform NVIDIA. You go, double Bitcoin or 1.5 Bitcoin. And then we give everybody low voltage Bitcoin, safe Bitcoin, low risk Bitcoin, low volatility Bitcoin on this side.
Right.
And the irony of it is everybody's getting exactly what they want. And the people that are buying our bonds or our equity, in some cases, they wouldn't buy the spot ETF. But in many cases, they couldn't. Not only would they not, people are like, well, why don't they? They can't, they won't, they don't wish to. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like, I have 480 volt 3-phase power on that dock. It'll power up a 500-ton yacht. You're not going to plug it into your blow dryer. Right? Has to go through it. If you go to the back of my property, I have a massive transformer, massive, to step down the power, right? There's a lot of value in giving people, what they can consume And there's someone that makes a living converting that power into batteries and selling you little battery packs so you can put it into your kids' toys. And you know what the markup is? It's like a factor of 1,000 markups. Like, you know, the power would be much cheaper if you took it off the dock. I'm like, yeah, well, if I plugged my little kids' toys into the dock, I would electrocute my kid. And so what we're doing is we're not electrocuting the traditional market. The traditional market can't handle Bitcoin.
Right.
It doesn't want 60% a year interest that's volatile. It wants 6% a year interest. By the way, that's only 10% of Bitcoin. If I give them the 6%, I get to keep the other 90%. And who gets that? My equity holder.
With all that in mind, Saylor recommends buying Bitcoin and holding it long term. He believes there's no need to trade or attempt to time the market. As more people begin to use and trust Bitcoin, its value will naturally increase. For Saylor, this is the best strategy to protect your savings in a world where money is steadily losing value. For more Daily Dose Crypto news, check out these 2 awesome videos on your screen. Click now and we will see you on the next video.